All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Israel is the reason for this war. America does not want to fight this war for Israel.
Let's go. Come on, let's go.
America does not want to send its sons and daughters to war for Israel. Your inability to name that shows your ineptness as leaders. This is wrong. And nobody wants to fight for Israel.
Reminder to all our
Commandant, please stand up as a Marine and stand up for America. Out. No one wants to fight for Israel. His head.
Sir, thank you for your service. Please.
The senator broke his hand. The senator broke his hand.
He's a Marine.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, Palestine will be free.
And what about this war in Iran?
Oh my God.
His arm.
Ah, fuck, my arm is fucking broke, bro.
What are you gonna do to him?
My left arm is broke. I understand. Don't fight.
Oh my God. Oh, you guys, come on.
Free Palestine. Fuck the war in Iran.
You're free to record, but you're free to record.
America does not want to fight.
You guys are free to record all you want, but we're just asking you to please cooperate with us. Just go behind the line.
America does not want to fight this war in Iran.
Out. No one wants to fight for Israel.
His hand, his hand. Oh, his hand.
Let go of your hand. Let go of the door. Let go of the door.
The senator broke his hand. A sitting U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine.
Sir.
Control your Senate.
Arm stuck in the door. Okay, sir.
A U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. It's stuck. A U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. You're a coward. Punk. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Why do you say that? Senator? Go fuck yourself. You were a shit seal. That's why you got kicked out, fat ass.
Everybody sit down, please. Sit down, please. Everybody sit down, please. Everybody sit down, please.
I'm getting out of here.
That's fine. Everybody sit down, please.
Is your hand okay?
Okay.
No, it's not.
This is disgusting. Disgusting.
Just pull it out.
Disgusting.
I support Iran dropping every single rocket in their arsenal right in the middle of Israel, wiping that entire country off the map. That's what I support. I don't support Iran. I don't support Israel. But of the two, I would rather see Iran wipe out Israel and watch how fast the war ends. The sad part about it is these same veteran content creators have zero knowledge of what's even going on over there. None. They don't spend hours and hours a day researching outside of government propaganda to educate themselves so they can make informed decisions. For those of you with dual citizenship in this country, with the United States and Israel, it's time to pack your bags, get the fuck out of our country, and go die for the country that you actually show allegiance to, because it's not the United States. Go back to your homelands with your Jewish chosen people, and go fight. Because if you really believe you're God's chosen people, trust me, they're going to need your help, and God will protect you, right? So go back and fight for your country, God's chosen people.
Two cops and sitting Senator Tim Sheehy snapped the arm of Marine Corps veteran Brian McGinnis while he was wearing his dress blues simply because he stood up and said citizens do not want to see their sons and daughters die for Israel. If you still think this administration is America first, you're fucking stupid. And the real scary part, because we've seen abuse before, is the fact that an entire room full of fellow senators and other military leadership sat there at attention, eyes forward, and refused to humanize this man while people screamed for fucking help. Allow me to rephrase that so I am sure that you will understand. A room full of people who are supposed to be our last line of defense from the government itself couldn't even be bothered to spare a sideways glance while a member of said government was actively harming someone. But by all means, they expect you to believe them when they say they need to spend $1 billion a day to blow up brown people to keep you safe. Can't afford to build new hospitals or provide people with prosthetics, but we can somehow sure as fuck afford to sling missiles that glow in the dark paint shaped like helicopters. Side note, the helicopter painting thing would actually be kind of funny if it wasn't for the fact that it was my tax dollars paying for the shit. Oh shit, second side note, because something just happened as I'm filming this shit. It seems Kristi Noem got her walking papers. Well, I'm sure we'll be back in front of this fence later to talk some shit about that. I'm sure her replacement will be just as incompetent and twice as much of a yes man. Anyways, folks, back to what I was trying to say. Yesterday should go to show you, it does not matter if you're an undocumented immigrant, a tax-paying citizen, or someone who signed that blank check. As soon as you stand up, speak out, and fight back, this administration sees you as nothing more than something to be broken and tossed aside because you are of no more use. This administration has never been about America first. It has always been about distracting us and dividing us so billionaires could stay rich and pedophiles could stay out of prison. And it is about time that some of y'all stop pretending otherwise. Now, y'all have you a wonderful day, or at least the one you voted for or deserve. Just do me one favor. Keep the motherfucking boots out of your motherfucking mouth, and remember that the golden rule will always remain yeehaw, fuck the law. Love y'all. See you down the line.
This is the book of Mark, chapter 3, verses 23 through 26. Verse 23, and this is going to be in the red letter, which is Yahushua speaking. It says, and he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? Verse 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Verse 25, and if a house be divided by itself, that house cannot stand. Verse 26, and if Satan arise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayashar Barazal, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel, as well as uplifting to the elect body of Israel. Well, you know, those video clips that preceded the lesson, that's powerful. That's powerful. You know, this is that is prophetic. It's letting us know that we are closer than what we believe. You know, according to Romans 13:11, our salvation is closer than what we believe. I mean, when you start to see, Edom against Edom in all way, shapes and forms, you know, that this kingdom is coming to an end. You know, it says the kingdom of verse 24. I'll read it again. If a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And you can see, you know, what NATO and the EU are in terrible disagreement with Babylon the Great, aka America. All right. Verse 25, if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. All right. And you seeing that individually. All right. Those Edomites in that Senate meeting where they broke the Marine's arm. Okay. As well as the two Edomites clips at the end of the video. You know, the one who said he had a choice between Iran and the state of Israel. He chose, you know, harm coming to the state of Israel, you know, and whether he knows it or not, or believes it or not, it doesn't matter. Amalek, who are, you know, we call the small hatters, the ones are fraudulently occupying the land right now. They are of the same nation, of the nation of Edom. When you go to Genesis 36, you see that Amalek is the direct grandson of Esau Edom, all right, through his son Eliphaz, who Amalek came by the concubine Timnah, all right. So yeah, the house of Edom is divided as well. Then it says, if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand. And we know that he is the physical, Esau Edom is the physical counterpart of Satan, the adversary, you know, adverse not only to the Israelites, but the Most High altogether. All right. That's just what it is. All right. And when you look at that video, like I said, there's a whole lot in there. You know, that guy was a Marine, and you know, you got to put all the pieces together. Hegseth just said this week, you know, you're going to have boots on the ground. Okay. Well, what just happened in that Senate hearing isn't good, because that sent a strong message, not only to other Marines, but, you know, it sent to the rest of the armed forces. Okay. So what I did, why that's important, the Marines, when you go into a battle on foot, the Marines actually prepare the way for the Army. And I looked that up on Google. This is my source. I asked the question, do Marines prepare the way for the Army? And the short AI overview came back and said, yes, the U.S. Marine Corps frequently prepares the way for the Army by conducting initial amphibious assaults, seizing advanced naval bases, and establishing secured beachheads. As a rapid response force, they secure key terrain and infrastructure, setting the stage for larger follow-on Army ground forces. Okay, it says the key details on this collaborative role include initial assault entry. Marines are designed for rapid deployment, often arriving first to establish a foothold in the hostile territory. Operational synergy. Marines and Army soldiers collaborate on joint operations, leveraging special skills to ensure mission success. Infrastructure seizure. Their role includes seizing, developing, or defending advanced bases that support larger naval and land campaigns. And the last one is tactical focus. Marine training emphasizes small unit tactics and military operations in urban terrain, which are critical for securing initial high-risk areas. Okay, and we know what's going on right now in the state of Israel, along with the aid of the United States. That is definitely a high risk right now. I mean, it's been continual. And like it says, if they lead the way for the Army, you know, that what just happened in that Senate room is telling you that, and we know Congress, over 95% of Congress is compromised by the state of Israel. We know that for a fact. Okay, with AIPAC and, you know, other lobbying organizations that are headed up by them. We know that for a fact, that the government is compromised by them. What happened in that Senate hearing sends a strong message, a very strong message to all of the Marines, and like I said, as well as the other American armed forces. Okay. Then if you notice that guy, that officer, the Marine veteran, McGinnis, I believe is his name, he called out for his commandant. a fellow Marine who had no response, which, I know that they have this saying, I looked this up too, called Semper Fi, okay? That's a common saying among Marines. And I looked it up on Google, and it's the general AI overview. It says Semper Fi is a short form of the Latin motto Semper Fidelis. And we know Latin is also the language of Satan, meaning always faithful or always loyal. It says, adopted in 1883, it serves as the official motto of the United States Marine Corps, representing a lifelong commitment to the Corps, fellow Marines, and the United States. Fellow Marines, he called for his commandant to stand up as a Marine, and he was silent. Okay. It says key aspects of Semper Fi. The first one is meaning. It says it signifies an unwavering, eternal commitment to duty, honor, and camaraderie. The next one is usage. It is used by Marines as a greeting, a sign of mutual respect, and a motivational motto. The third one is significance. It says beyond a motto, it represents a way of life for Marines, emphasizing that they are always faithful to their brothers in arms, the mission, and the nation. So, 2 out of 3 of those are gone when that commandant didn't say anything. No faith to his brother in arms, and, you're fighting for a foreign nation. All right. And then it says the origin. The phrase was officially adopted as a Marine Corps motto in 1883. It says when a Marine says Semper Fi, it is often responded to with "Hoorah," which means a battle cry, or Semper Fi Marine. So yeah, that whole action sent a strong message. And then it was a U.S. senator. I don't know if you heard the guy who was giving him an earful as he walked by. He was kicked out of one of the armed forces. I don't know if it was the Marines as well, but he called them all types of names. Fat fuck and a coward and all of that, because I guess that guy was a Marine as well too, who was saying that. But that's huge, okay? And we're seeing Esau, come at odds with himself. All right, we see that. But this is a thing that the Lord was talking about. As we were talking about in camp Wednesday night, it is so much happening right now. All of the prophecies are all happening at the same time, except for the MOTB at this time. But it's in the works. We know that for certain. It has to just be the right time to implement it, because it's here. It's here. Musk said he wants to do an uptick on the Neuralink, in 2026, and we know that the RFID microchip has been available. Okay, that's how some of those countries avoided having to take the jump shot or the jab. Doing the C1 during the C19. Because they had it. A lot of them have it already. So, yeah, that's here. But all of these things are coming to pass, and we're seeing it. The Bible is living and breathing right now. All of these prophecies, okay. And despite them trying to do it in secret, like the scriptures say, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. And why is that? This is Isaiah chapter 42, beginning in verse 8. And it reads, I am Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to a graven image. Okay? He's not going to give it to him. Everything that happens is you're going to know it's because of him, and no other power, no other God. Okay? He says, behold, the former things are come to pass, and the new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. All right? And he told us this was going to happen. The infighting among Edom. All right. He told us this was going to happen. All right. Let me get that. This is also in Isaiah chapter 19. Go straight to the point. Verse 2. And it reads, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And you're seeing that right now. Okay? Everything that's going on with ICE. Now, you have some brown-skinned people sprinkled in among those ICE, they could also very well be brown-skinned Edomites. We don't know. But for the most part, that's part of that sword of the Lord, okay? Spirit of vengeance. But he said Egyptians against the Egyptians. Okay? We know that Egypt means a house of bondage. Okay? Who are we in bondage to? Babylon the Great. All right? Which is run by the so-called white man, Esau Edom. Okay? Romans 9 compares him to Pharaoh. Okay? So that's how we know Pharaoh ran Egypt. So that's how we know who we're dealing with. And we're seeing, those videos made it very clear that they are fighting against one another, okay? Which is one of those end signs, all right? Get the same thing in 2nd Ezra 13. Let me grab that. Esdras in the Apocrypha is the same as Ezra in the Old Testament. 2nd Ezra 13, verses 31 and 32. Verse 31, and it reads, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. All right, and you're seeing that. Iran and the state of Israel. Esau versus Esau. Esau versus Jacob. I think you got India over there fighting now with somebody. Yeah. Everything is starting to happen in the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yehoshaphat, valley of judgment. All right, we see it happening. Like he said, before they spring forth, I tell you of them, and we know exactly what this is, so we can identify the time that we're in. All right, this is not a joke, folks. This is not a joke. Yeah, and going back to what Hex said about the ground game, putting boots on the ground, he said that this week. All right, he said that this week, and just read somewhere that China is sending so many troops over in that region. With the ripple effect that this situation with this Marine could potentially have on all of the U.S. armed forces, America's not going to stand a chance on the ground. It's not. We already know overall they're going to lose World War III. But it's it's going to be tragic. A tragic loss. There will not be a hat trick with World War III. You got the first two, but as I said, this is the war to end all wars. All right, and that's because Yahushua is coming back. All right. Let me go back to what I was showing, because you have those other. Let's see. This is it says here's the general ranking of combat capability from the perspective of overall readiness and modernization. Number 1 is the U.S. Marine Corps highest readiness, the ones they just offended in that video, their own government, who sends them into those wars. Okay, it says status strong as of 2024-2026 reports. Reasoning: rated highest because the Corps is focused on modernization as a high state of readiness with their capacity measured against a one-war requirement. After that is the U.S. Navy, marginal to weak, depending on specific metrics. Reasoning. The Navy is essential for global power projection but faces challenges in meeting the 400 ship requirement needed to fully cover all operational demands. Okay? It says the U.S. Army. Marginal. Reasoning. While rated very strong in immediate readiness, ability to fight now, the Army is weak in capacity, overall size, and considering to be aging faster than it is modernizing. And we know, that there's been a substantial decline. They're going to have a draft, but it's not going to go that well because people see what's going on. It's not America first. We know it's not first. This place is not going to be around, very long. It's, the clock is ticking on both of those lands, isn't real and America. All right. It says the U.S. Air Force status very weak. The Air Force is the largest globally, but according to 2026 indices, it lacks the necessary number of active duty combat-coded fighter aircraft to handle more than a single major conflict. Wow. There's going to be a lot of that. I'll save that for this next one. U.S. Space Force. Status marginal. Reasoning. As a newest branch, it is growing but not yet capable of fully meeting all on-demand operational and tactical level warfighting requirements. All right? And I'm going to keep those two together, the Air Force and the Space Force. All right? Trump formed that at the end of 2019. Why is that? They know about the chariots of the Lord. All right? They know about that. And it's a lot of them. All right? They don't know the number. But like the Lord said, there's a lot of them. Let me grab that. This is Psalms, I believe it's 68 and 17. God. It says, the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, as the holy place. All right? Going to be a lot of chariots. A lot of chariots. And very, it doesn't take that many, but it's going to be a lot of them because they're going to make quick work of this place. All right? Like the scripture say, in 1 hour, Babylon is going to come to naught. All right? It's going to come to naught. And, they know they don't have the technology to go against those chariots. All right? But they're going to fight anyway. Going to get destroyed. Turn to powder. All right? So, yeah. But, yeah, you can see these Edomites, getting roused up against their own government, against each other, just like the scriptures said it would. Just like the scriptures said it would. All right? And we'll go against the government, too. This is 2nd Esdras. And the Apocrypha, 15, verses 14 through 16. All right? It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. And that word woe means death and destruction, okay? It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And the sword is a modern day gun or a missile, the instruments of killing, all right, to be general. It says, draw nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And you seeing that, all right? It says, verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, their rulers, their leadership, okay? And the course of their actions shall stand in their power, all right? And you can see these Edomites are angry, realize they've been fooled, but, we always knew. That's why they, the true believing Israelites, who believe in the true name, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, are not ignorant of Satan's devices, That whole voting thing is a scam. When you go into the etymology of the word vote, it means to make a vow to a god, lowercase g. Okay? So when you went out to a vote last November, you were either going to make Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, you know, which it turned out to be him. You're God. And the people who did that, you know, you got some dumbass ones in that group that, you know, will go to the death with this guy. But, you know, you got other ones also turning because they realize what the hell is going on. All right? They know exactly what is going on. All right? So, yeah, they're turning against each other in a big way. But I would be remiss to say, Jake, don't get too happy. Because remember, you are still the number one target, okay? They want that birthright back. You are still the number one target, and they're not going to be satisfied with anything until you are annihilated, okay? And they're going to get a lot of y'all, like 2/3, okay? Remember, Esau is a sword of the Lord. I think that's Psalm 17:13. Let me grab that. Psalm 17:13. Khan. It says, "Arise, O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked." And who's the wicked? Esau, Edom, according to Malachi 1:4, which is thy sword. Okay, his instrument of killing, and we see that. All right, in real time. Remember, that was his blessing, going all the way back to Genesis chapter 27, verse 38 through 41. All right. That's his blessing. So yeah, Jake, you know, even though they're going against each other, you know, hey, that's why it's called Jacob Trouble. It's all about you. All right. Yeah. Let me grab this. This is the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. It's also in the Apocrypha, chapter 14 and verse 5. And it reads, "He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods." And this devil has no problem sending other Edomites into war. You know, and we know this is all a distraction from you know, shitty pants. You know, in those files being mentioned thousands of times. There's even audio of him saying, you know, don't let those files out. If they get out, I'm taking everybody down with me. That's him saying that. All right. So yeah, if he's you know, evil to himself, you know, getting rid of his own people, he don't give a shit about you, Jake. Not at all. He wants that birthright back. All right. And you got to remember, like I said, you know, even though a whole lot hasn't been happening to us yet, it's coming. Remember, the Lord said these are the beginning of sorrows. All right. Jeremiah 30:7. And it reads, "Alas," and that word alas means woe, is interchangeable with woe, meaning death and destruction. "For that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." All right. So even though it's called Jacob's trouble, you know, a lot of you heathen nations are going to be catching hell too. All right. But this is all about the nation of Israel. All right. He says, but he shall be saved out of it. That's the elect. Okay. The 144,000 plus the innumerable multitude. According to Revelation 7, chapter 7, verses 4 through 9. Okay. 144,000, meaning 12,000 men from each tribe. Okay. And the rest are men, women, and children. Okay. He says, but they shall be saved out of it. Okay. So this is coming. These are one of those signs, you know, when you see, you know, these people going against one another, you know, but like the scriptures say, see not that ye be troubled, you know, because we have to endure to the end. Lord said, those who fear him, who endure to the end, those same shall be saved. All right? So, yeah, just because you see shit happening to him, Jake, you know, you are still the target. This is 1 Peter 4. And again at 17. Still talking about that same time in that day. It says, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. And we know according to Zechariah 13, 8 and 9, you know, 2/3 of our people are going to be cut off and die on this side. All right. He says, and if it first begin at us, what shall be the end of them that obey not the gospel? All right. Those who do not obey the gospel, that judgment is coming real hard. You know, real hard. And, you know, like you said, the Lord said, you know, there's none who can deliver out of his hand. You know, Deuteronomy 32, 39. You know, none can deliver out of his hand. All right. So, yeah, it says, if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel? That judgment is going to be horrible. All right. I don't even want to think about it. Because what's that? Hebrews 10 and 31 says, let me grab that. I didn't want to butcher it. I had it in my mind, but it slipped. Hebrews 10, 31. It says, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. That's because in Matthew 10, you know, it tells you not to fear him that have the power to kill. This is Esau Edom. But rather fear him that can kill the soul and the body in hell. He can destroy every bit of you. You know, even the part that can't be touched. That's the type of fear you need to have. All right. Going back to 1 Peter 4. All right. And it says, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? All right. You get that answer in Psalms 91. You know. Let me grab that. The righteous will scarcely be saved. That means we're going to be on those chariots. And I say we, as humbly as I can, I hope to be of that number. Okay. Psalms 91. You want to start around verse 5. All right. It says, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. That's those nuclear missiles, ICBM missiles, you know. Those are those arrows. If you remember the movie Broken Arrow with John Travolta and I think Nicolas Cage, that was about a missile. All right. It says, nor for the pestilence that walketh in the darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. It says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. It says, why is that? Because only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Okay? Only with our eyes we're going to see that. We're going to be on those chariots. Okay? Looking down at all the destruction that's going on. It's going to, like I said, it's going to be a day that's none like it. Yes. We're going to be on those chariots looking at all that destruction. The Lord said that. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 26. And I'll close out with this one. Verse 20 and 21. All right. It says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee on the chariots, okay? Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be past. That's the Lord's righteous anger. He has that controversy of Zion, pissed off at Esau Edom, because he furthered our affliction, okay? We had a certain amount of time. You know, we're supposed to be under his rulership, and you know, he's supposed to rule righteously. That did not happen. So the Lord is pissed. Okay? That indignation means righteous anger. It says, verse 21, for behold, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth shall also disclose her blood, and the slain shall no more, and shall also disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Yeah, that's going to be how about Shem Yahushua is going to have the all-time high score when it comes to killing, not only the heathens, but Jake as well, 2/3 of his people. All right. So, like I said, we see what's happening amongst Edom. All right, these prophecies are coming true. So you better get right, Jake. You better get right. All right, because the time is at hand. All right, so with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahach HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like it to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharallah, Abba Abba. Shalom, we got next.